Chinese millionaires, where does the money come from? Now you see a lot of the affluent Chinese, they're coming to North America, they're going to different countries outside of China, buying up companies, buying up lands, buying properties, buying a lot of luxury goods and automobiles. And you ask yourself, where does the money come from? Why do they have so much money? Why are they able to go to a country and buy a property worth millions of dollars cash? No mortgage needed. That's what we're going to talk about today. So Jenny, what do you think? Where does the money come from?
I think because firstly, 20 years ago, the China economy is booming, and then a lot of government-owned company, they have to lay off a lot of workers, employees. So to force them to actually work for themselves, they have to start their own business. They have to do their own, even own a little retail store or
But they couldn't
convenience
get a
store.
job.
Exactly, they have to work their way up, and then after 20 years, of course, they're doing to a degree. So that's why they just make more and more money. Right?
Makes sense. What about Victoria? What do you think?
Well, it's interesting because China as a country, technically they're a communist government, but a real communist government cannot pump out that many billionaires in a country. So it's on the surface, on paper, that may be the case, but in fact, there's been a lot of growth, definitely, and there's forecasts of many more growth in different industries and sectors as well. And you can see that in China, they are also targeting other countries as well. They want to invest in other countries. As you can see, Billionaire, the Wanda Group, the founder of the Wanda Group, Wang Jianli, he has bought out AMC Theaters.
AMC Theater, yeah.
He has bought out the legendary films. So you can see that they have a lot of foresight into investment. And we scale that back and we look at the farmers. Right, farmers that have been generations and generations of people that have been just farming their whole lives. All of a sudden, the Chinese government may want to do some development, or the private sector may want to buy some land and do development.
City is expanding, right?
Exactly,
Yes.
and all of a sudden, these farmers that have been just farming their whole lives have become millionaires.
Overnight.
Overnight, they have all this cash. And that's really where it's come from. We call it the new wealth. And it's just been growing like crazy for the past 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, I think at first, the different ways of generation or Chinese or immigrations to North America, the first wave of immigration, they were coming here, they were workers. We're talking about they're building the railroad, they have all the dirty work, and they get killed and all that stuff. And that's just what happened. That's part of the history. And then the second wave, and then they bring the family. The third wave, probably then it's more starting a small grocery shop, a Chinese restaurant. I mean, every freaking town's got a Chinese restaurant. And so you see that a lot. And then next wave is more, they're a little bit more educated. That they have some education, right? Maybe middle class, they immigrate here with their kids and stuff like that. And then you see a shift when China, when there's so much wealth being generated, then a new wave of immigrants, where now they're coming to buy properties, they've got so much more money, they want to transfer the wealth that they've made in China to outside of China because they think it's safer. In terms of China, they might think, hey, government might take it away like any time, and especially there's so much corruption. And in China, unfortunately, any of the big companies, I won't say every single company, but a lot of big companies, there's always something kind of under the table, and it's not always so clean. Now, the latest wave of immigrants, I believe now, is not just wealthy individuals, more corporations now. They're expanding internationally. They're out here actually buying company acquisitions. They're buying lands. They're buying like food. They're buying agricultures. It's a different thing. Even now, many years ago, even a few years ago, when you go to watch movies, you don't see these opening intro slide with all these other Chinese companies. Latest, if you watch a lot of the big blockbuster movies funded by Chinese companies, you see it again and again and again. Mission Impossible, I think Fast and Furious, Transformers, obviously, right? Transformer 4, right? Which got a lot of critics.
The milk.
The milk, Shu milk, right? It's like just shameless plug in the movie because, well, they pay a lot of money to be in the movie. So that's kind of interesting. Now, for most people, they don't understand and they might think that the affluent Chinese, they are buying these big houses, they're flaunting their wealth. I think to a degree it may be true, but I think it's also that to them, because if they take all their money here, they want to put it into something. And if they buy automobile in here compared to China, they have double taxation, so it's a lot more expensive. If they buy a Mercedes or they buy a BMW,
Yes.
it costs twice as much or more. If they buy a house in China, all they could afford is smaller condo. They sell that in here, they can buy a pretty nice house.
Yeah,
in North
if you're
America.
talking about big city like Beijing or
Beijing,
Shanghai,
yeah, right,
for sure,
right.
for sure.
Those places. So that's where the money comes from. What about in terms of people? So you have people who are maybe entrepreneurs. You have people who are maybe second generation. What do you think are the different types of people that's got money?
You mean regarding a first generation and second generation?
Yeah, first generation, even types of first generation.
Well, I think the first generation probably the first type is they're entrepreneur themselves.
Yeah, they make the money on their own.
Yes, they make the money on their
Yeah.
own. And then I think the second part is just even though a lot of people right now they're working like inside the office, maybe they move to a certain level, like to move to manager or sometimes like a director kind of position, they just have more salary so they can afford actually do immigrant or even send their kids
to a better education.
Yes, for
Yeah.
better education. That's very common actually.
Yeah, because they always
Yeah.
want to do it for the kids, right?
Exactly.
Send them to a better environment, get educated, learn the speak
Yeah, even though
English.
we're talking about middle class in China right now, they can totally afford sending their kids to
Yeah.
US or Canada
Yeah.
for education.
Vic, what do you think?
Yeah, I think for the second generation as well, because they have the freedom to take more risks.
Yeah.
They have money from the parents to support them. Different from the previous generation where when they take risks, if it doesn't work out, they just might become homeless. So definitely with the trend with the millennials as well, they're more inapt, they're more attracted to the concept of social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, where what can we do to start something new, but at the same time be able to help our community and help our country.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the new generation has that seated in their mind, and it's really helped with the boom of starting new businesses and new growth.
And adding to that, actually, I found this really funny. There's actually a lot of MBA or EMBA classes in China,
A lot in
and then
university.
they're charging a lot of money for that class. And then we're talking about probably 50,000 US dollars for one class. And then a lot of the CEOs, maybe they were like selling their land, didn't get much education when they were young, but now they become the big CEOs, so they want to learn more knowledge, so they go to all this like MBA class to upgrade themselves, and then even sending their kids to go to those classes. You don't see this a lot in North America. That's just very interesting.
And you can see, I think the media, even you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you type in these type of Chinese millionaires, and I think the media really, of course, there are a lot of spoiled rich kids. I mean, just like there are a lot of spoiled rich kids in China, there are a lot of fucking spoiled rich kids in North America too. It's the same. But I think a lot of them, because in the Chinese culture, in America, in North America, it's a little bit different. If you have a CEO, you don't necessarily pass down your company to your son. You pass on to whoever is most capable. Your right-hand person has been with you for 20, 30 years, right? Microsoft, Apple, all these companies. But the Chinese culture, usually it's more, you have this kind of business empire you pass on to your kids. And so a lot of family owned, they trust each other, same blood, right? So I can see a lot of them, first generation, now they've made the money. Maybe they weren't very well educated, but they want their kids to be well educated, that they could take over. So it's a kind of legacy, kind of generational wealth, and they can see all these young kids, a lot of them, they are very well educated, very smart, and unlike their parents, they got the education in North America. They can speak English fluently. They understand the Caucasian, the way that they manage, the when they grow, the differences. Now they take it to China or the one that expand. So I think of course, they are spoiled rich kids, but I think there are a lot of small entrepreneurs as well.
Just like Wang Jianling's son.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of them are very, very smart. And so don't take it out of context. You read something, that damn guy driving a Lamborghini or that guy driving the Ferrari, that's very short-sighted. Then you don't really understand. If you actually talk to some of them and you can see the type of insights that they have and the way that they think, you'll know they actually have very, very smart people, very hardworking people, very generous people.
Yeah, actually, I want to add to that is I do have a lot of second generation friends from China, and then most of them, even though right now they're in college studying, but then they are also seeking a way out. Not all of them want to heritage their like family.
Yeah, they want to make. Sometimes they want to
do something for themselves, and then maybe also possible is a bunch of like rich kids friends. They're getting together, starting a company together, and then they just want to prove themselves as well. They want to build legacy for themselves. It's because they already have the foundation of the money and then the connections, even the skill necessary. So it's very easy for them to do anything compared to the normal Chinese.
Yes, and you will see that although they have enough money, they don't have to work, but they might want to start their own business, they might want to do their own thing, or they might want to take over. It's up to them. But there are many possibilities. So that's really the overview of where does the money come from, who are they, what are they like. But comment below if you have ever had conversation, you met some affluent Chinese or immigrants, maybe they're first generation, second wave or third wave, whatever, or second generation. What's been your experience? Comment below. Make sure to subscribe if you want to follow the future episodes of Decode China. Turn on the notification, click on that bell. I'll see you in the next episode.